Let's revisit Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler. There are two scenes I want to look at to illustrate how the framing of characters and related blocking help to tell the story. In the first scene, we join Louis Bloom when his relationship with Nina Romina is new. The balance of power between the two is very much in her favor, as he needs her for employment, whereas she does not particularly need the amateurish output of his fledgling efforts as a video news reporter. Notice how she moves and he follows, almost obsequiously. He praises her, and the connection between them is almost like one between master and dog. But there comes a point in their conversation where he stops, and she finds herself sufficiently curious to stop with him. It's at this point that everything changes. Gilroy has said that his direction to Jake Gyllenhaal for this scene was to convey the earnestness of a man proposing marriage, and as he explains to her his ideas about life and work and his commitment to improvement and excellence, she's won over. Somehow, he's no longer like a neglected dog of little interest. He's an affirmation of her own ambitions and a reflection of herself, a kindred spirit reinforcing her worldview. The balance of power shifts, and by the end, she's shaking hands with him as that of an equal. By physically showing the shift from him following to her stopping to hear him to the two coming together, not only does the blocking of the action reflect the subtext, but because there are no cuts until the shift occurs, there's also a fluidity, a subtleness on Bloom's part as a seducer.
And I'm thinking, the television news might just be something I love, as well as something I happen to be good at.
In the second scene, Bloom firmly establishes his position as dominant in the pairing. It's usual in films for a fairly wide shot to introduce a scene, to encapsulate all the characters and the action before cutting to coverage that follows their individual behavior from a more specific perspective. But in this case, the wide shot is used to establish Bloom's smallness, very specifically from Nina's point of view. As he approaches her, he grows increasingly assertive, so the framing of his character goes from wide to medium to semi-close to close-up, not by any adjustment of the camera, but through the blocking. It's his movement that takes him from one setup to the next, with no cuts to distract the audience during the transition, from displaying him as an object of observation to being a threat that dominates our field of vision. By the time Gyllenhaal is close enough for his face to fill the frame, we have a close-up without ever having cut from the initial wide shot. The absence of cuts prevents the jarring effect of disconnect that would otherwise result. By way of contrast, here's a clip from Johnny Guitar, in which director Nicholas Ray uses cuts to adjust the framing of his leading man, who moves away from the camera. The cuts are jarring. It's as though we're having trouble keeping up, or deciding from what distance to observe the action. A close-up emphasizes the importance of a character in the moment. With their face filling the screen, we're also invited to perceive a mirror image and to contemplate the inner life of the character, to connect with him. Faced by Bloom with such previously unmatched immediacy, the result is frightening. His menace isn't a result simply of being so impenetrable, so angry, and so near, but of having crept to this point with such subtlety. Without realizing it, both the audience and Nina find that this man has gained a power over us we never meant to grant him. As Louis grows increasingly manic, this leads to a disturbing experience for the audience, and we feel something of the same violation Nina feels in the moment. Thanks for watching. As always, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And for those who'd like to support the channel, please find our Patreon link below.